I was exhausted from the output that I've been putting in for years in this industry. And the gains that I've had, many, many gains. By the time I went to the West End in London, I was performing the Scottsboro Boys, and I had an Olivier nomination, and I was doing work that I thought was impactful and important. And then I would go back to New York, and then I would just like be pounding the pavement again, almost like getting roles that I felt like didn't match what I can give.
That was such a delight to see you on Jimmy Kimmel. Every summer he has a host of guest hosts who come in, and you were in the rotation. And you were in the rotation for just about a whole week.
Yeah, for a whole week, and it was great. It was like the week of a lifetime. It was so much fun. And, I love that things are coming to me right now, like opportunities to do things I've never done before. Like I've never hosted a late night show, but I love the idea of looking at myself the way someone else sees me. And if Jimmy thought that I could do it, I thought, well, let me try. You know what I mean? I'm a say yes person. I'm like, well, let's try. I've never done it before. But the first thing I do is I go into deep research. I went back and looked at old Jack Paar shows.
Oh, you did? You went in.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Carson. I looked at the greats, and I wanted to figure out how did they do it and what was their style and what would my style be.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your
you.
Emmy nominations and on being able to host Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Thank you.
The Four Seasons is such a fun watch. Yeah. And it's about three couples, old friends who vacation together for decades, and what happens to the group when those marriages start to shift, which happens with everyone's relationship. This season, your character, Danny, he's dealing with several issues within his own marriage. And he and his husband, Claude, have been talking about having a child, and Claude he's basically having second thoughts. And so I actually want to play a scene. In this scene, Danny has just come from one of those conversations with his partner, and he's confiding in his best friend, Kate, played by Tina Fey, while they look at a beach home that is for sale. Let's listen.
Okay, 655 Ocean Lane. Wow. I mean, the wallpaper is Midwest funeral home, but the house! If we were smart, we would buy it and turn it into a bed and breakfast.
Oh, I'm in. I will retire early and run it, and then when our husbands die...
Claude, botched facelift, Jack perforated rectum from too many unnecessary colonoscopies.
We'll live here together.
Can we do it now? Claude's pissing me off.
Oh, is it because of his bonnet?
The surrogate asked if we were still interested, but now all of a sudden, Claude thinks that we're too old.
Oof. I mean, I get it.
No, bitch, you're supposed to say you're not too old, and how dare he?
I'm sorry, you are very young. You told me who SZA was.
Do I know for sure, if we should do it? No, but I do know we can't keep talking about it. We're either never going to do it, or we're going to become two Tony Randalls who feed our baby applesauce that we also eat.
Okay, if you're really having trouble making a decision, my therapist has a book.
Absolutely not.
Called The Three Magic Questions.
I'll kill you in your sleep.
It really helped me decide whether I should do Invisalign for a third time. I decided possibly at a later date.
There's nothing to decide. At this point, we just need to push through.
Yeah, yes, you could push through, or you could seriously consider Claude's concerns. Like, is this right for both of you? Or...
Hi, Brenda. We are definitely still interested.
What are you doing?
I'm pushing through.
That was my guest, Colman Domingo, in the Netflix series The Four Seasons. Throughout that entire clip, you kept laughing at all the different points.
Oh, my God. Danny is so acerbic. My gosh, he's like an altered universe me. I think, listen.
In what way? Yeah.
I don't know, because what's funny, because it's a same-sex married couple, but it's funny, we're dealing with circumstances that are really not my own. Like me and my husband are very happy with not having children. But the idea that Danny wants children, which is interesting because I think the setup of his personality in season one, you would never think that would be his calling. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, I love how contradictory people are. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really great for his character. And also he's just really pointed and funny. And I don't know, he's really a creation that I really, really love. I love the way the writers write for him. Yeah. He's
Did you have a hand in it though?
The funny thing is, no. I would say the thing that I have a hand in, when I first met with Tina Fey to talk about this character,
Because she's the creator.
Yeah,
of
she's the
four
creator of
seasons,
this. Yeah, she and Lang Fisher and Tracy Wakefield. They wanted to bring together a group of people that they understood, based on the 1981 Alan Alda film.
Mm-hmm.
But to really make it modern and fun and warm and make sure that this couple in particular, it's one of the, central couples as well. This couple should feel like a couple that I understand. And I knew the thing that I told Tina was, here's a same-sex loving couple that are really in very heteronormative environments.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're not the couple that they always talk about their other friend group that they have that you never see about, the boys that they hang out with. But they're very much embedded. Their closest friends are all very heteronormative couples. And so I don't know if I've necessarily seen that on television. And I really thought, this is kind of a world that I understand as well. Like these couples are having issues like everyone else, but they're also very spirited and very much who they are.
This is an ensemble of comedy veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Tina Fey and Will Forte, they came up through SNL, as we know. Steve Carell through Second City. Carrie Kinney Silver through Reno 911. And that is largely improvised. And you have done some comedy, but you have come from some serious places. You come from the theater,
Very much so.
Did that make for any interesting dynamics on the set?
Well, the thing is, when I first got the invitation to be a part of it, I thought, for a second, well, why me in particular? Like, I'm not really known for comedy, but I think that what Tina and the rest of the gang could tell is that I'm willing and I'm game. And I think, and listen, I come from I'm very known for these very dramatic roles and whether it's by Rustin or Mr. in the Color Purple or Ali in Euphoria. And so I love defying people's expectations of me as well. Mm-hmm. Again, I come from the theater and I played everything in the theater.
Yeah.
It was always open to me, but I hadn't relied on those comedic chops in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So to lean into that was something, it felt new and fresh again for me, especially this late in my career, where the idea of doing a half-hour comedy was a challenge.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if I could do it more than anything. So I think this conversation is setting us up in a way to let you know that I love a challenge. And if there's something I haven't done before, I sort of run towards it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not in a fearless way, but also maybe in a foolish way, because I'm not afraid to be wrong or to make bad choices or to grow from them. Because I think that's all part of the process,
I can just imagine, though, being with all of those funny men and women. Did it feel good when they laughed at the stuff you said,
It does. But the funny thing is about funny people, and I tell you this, and I wonder if they would say this about themselves. They don't naturally laugh when something's funny because they're like mad scientists. They almost look at the math of it. And they're like,
they're dissecting it.
That's good. I wonder how that happened. You did this. You turned on this line. You blah, blah, blah. You gave a pause. You gave a beat. Most comedians I know are very serious people. I think, and also they're also a bit shy. I think I would say this, Tina's very shy. I would say Steve Carell's very shy. But they know how to get the thing done like mathematicians. Mm-hmm. They look at it in that framework, which I think is fascinating.
You actually directed an episode.
Yeah, this season and last season.
Mm-hmm. Lang Fisher, one of the three co-creators of the show, said that when you directed the episode Ultimate Frisbee, she watched you cry in a scene you were in while directing another actor through his own tears, going back into that character you were in to keep crying, all while still watching whether the background performer meets its steps. And that seems like an extraordinary amount of work to hold all at once.
It is. And I don't know if everyone's brain is meant for that, but I feel like I have one of those brains. I can manage a lot, which is why I've always been a director since I started in the theater, because I can handle a lot of frisbees up in the air at the same time. So I know the scene exactly she was talking about. She was amazed that I was able to direct my co-star while keeping my emotional work, while being able to look at playback, while making sure that background is doing what they need to do. I just have one of those brains.
Where does that come from? I know you're hyper-organized.
I'm hyper-organized, but also maybe that's it. I'm well prepared and planned, so I can be loose and free, but my mind has always been on everything. I think it starts with the way I came into this industry, which was learning by going to rehearsals I wasn't even in. I would go and sit into rehearsals, like when I was 21 years old in San Francisco. And
Play rehearsals.
Yeah, and play rehearsals. And I would watch, and I would watch all departments and what was going on. So I had a handle of everything. And also, if I was invited to be in a scene, I would be able to take a look at what I'm doing and how the engine of what I'm doing is forwarding the whole thing. So I'm never just focused, solely as an actor or as a writer or director. I'm looking at the whole picture at all times. So I know I can manage that. So I think that that's what my brain naturally does.
What made you want to do that? I'm thinking about a young Colman. You could have just been focused on, I want to act, I want to be on the stage, or I want to write, I want to be a screenplay writer. But for you to say, I'm going to, on my free time, step into someone else's rehearsal and dissect it.
I think it's maybe because it was a great way for me to learn everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married to someone who's like this, who is an avid learner. He's constantly teaching himself different things. And I know that we've been attracted to each other because we're very similar in that way. I love learning about how everything is working, from what the grips are doing and the sound departments. And I'm just very curious about all of it. And so it's always been that way for me. And I think I've just been I was a very curious kid. Mm. And I knew that, listen, I come from a very humble place. I come from
West Philadelphia.
Inner city West Philadelphia, where, a lot of blue collar folks. I was the first in my family to go to college. And I think I knew that my power was in learning and in education, and learn as much as you can and get as much as you can from every situation. So you name it, whatever show I'm on, I can't just go in there just as an actor. I will always end up as a director and a producer, you name it, because I have that interest. Mm-hmm. Not everyone has that. There's some people very singular, and that's also fine. But I know that, like, when I did the show Fear the Walking Dead, I started as number 9 on the call sheet, ended at number 2, and a director and a producer. Mm. And because it was that thing that my mother told me, get everything you can out of it. Mm-hmm. And it's not taking from it, but like just learning and then figuring out what can you give to it. Mm-hmm. So for me, even with 4 seasons, I love the fact that I'm a director on that show, because I feel like I understand it and I can give something to it. Mm-hmm. I understand the actors that I'm working with, mostly comedians, who I sort of help usher them to go to the, more dramatic places, and it surprises them where they're able to go. And I love that. I love that, because I know I have that facility to do that and help bring the best out of my cast.
Let's talk about Euphoria for a moment.
I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, Euphoria lovers watched the end of an era this year. Mm-hmm. And to remind people, your role was as Ali. He is a man in long-term recovery.
Yes.
He was also Rue's sponsor. And Rue is played by Zendaya. And this was basically written for you by Euphoria's creator, Sam Levinson. And he wrote it based on his own former sponsor. So It was inspired by that. There have been so many mixed reactions. Of course, when a show ends, you can't please everybody on how a show ends. But this show in particular, because we have been following Rue, we have been following you and all the characters, to end the way it ends feels both devastating, but it also feels true. It feels extremely true to life. I want to play a scene from this last episode. Ali's purpose at this point in the show had been to be a support for people battling addiction, and it feels like a job he can't ever really be successful at because kids keep dying. I mean, fentanyl is out there, and it is killing people. And without giving away spoilers, it's tough in this world because it's like people will come on a show, come into a show no matter what. It could be 2 years from now. It'll still be a spoiler. But without giving away spoilers, I will say that at this point in the show, Ali is tired and he is brokenhearted. And here he is at an AA meeting giving his testimony. Let's listen.
A couple of months ago, I lost someone I really cared about. And for the first time in a long time, I picked up a drink. I didn't know what to do with the pain. I've been a Christian, a Muslim. Suddenly, I found myself not believing it. I just know that I'm tired. Tired of losing people. Tired of spending my life in these rooms and in diners and at my house, talking to kids, helping kids, pouring my heart and soul into kids, only to not see them get a second chance. I'm done. Only thing I know for certain is that there is a right and a wrong in this world. And you know, in between, you're either making the world a better place or you're making it worse. In the end, it's that simple. This is gonna be my last meeting. I'm gonna find another way to be of better service.
That is my guest today, Colman Domingo, in the last episode of season 3 of Euphoria. And Colman, we watch the evolution of Ali. He's trying to save Rue. He's also trying to do that for himself. He's sponsoring other people's children because he doesn't have a relationship with his own children.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, how did you think about how you would play him, how you would wrap him up? Because you kind of chose to play him cold. You did not play him emotional. And that seems to be a choice.
That was a choice, I think, because that's the toll that it's taken on him. I think that he's someone who's very deeply feeling. And I thought, in the writing of it, I thought, okay, well, here's someone who's given so much to so many. And when this significant death happens, I think it numbs him. And then he's on a mission. I know that I told Sam Levinson that I thought between the moment that Zendaya went away and going back to that meeting and that scene that was played, he said it's been about a month. And I thought, well, what did Ali do? And I think that he walked. I think that he walked this earth in search of life in some form, or hope, or something he can hang on to. I think he walked and looked into the faces of people, parks, flowers, trees, garbage cans, you name it, trying to find what was important. And then he decided to, I think when he went back to the bottle, he knew that wasn't it either. And he was like, I have to do something else. The most beautiful thing about this last season of Euphoria is the framework. The framework is of an American Western.
It is, yes.
And in Westerns, classic Westerns, there's just good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Ali decided that was it. There's no in between. He's going against something that he used to espouse that was a bit more complicated. He said, actually, no, people just don't know the difference between right and wrong, and that's it. So therefore, I'm going to fight for what's right, and I'm going to use what I have in this moment to fight for good. And that's what he does.
Do you metabolize these characters and these storylines with that emotional weight of feeling like it's true? Did you mourn at all?
I think you could possibly tell that even listening to either character, there's something that's so close and in my skin.
Yeah.
Like my body just started to react. I started to cry when I was listening to that, and I'm about to start crying now just talking about him. Because they're in me. All of these characters are in me. I mean, we haven't talked about Joe Jackson yet, but Joe Jackson's in me. I mean, By Rustin's in me. I think there's an Abby Lincoln song that says, I've got some people in me. I believe everyone lives in me, and everyone calls on me to help tell their story. And so it is metabolized in me. There's aspects of them in my experience or the people that I know that I can tap into. So literally, I'm not a method actor, but I can go very deep with my characters, but I know that they're just right here. Mm-hmm. I can tap and literally just listening, which is why a lot of times I don't watch my work that often unless I need it to let me remember what I'm talking about before I go into do press. But if I watch it, sometimes, like my movie Sing Sing, I've only watched it twice because it feels closer to anything I've ever done. It feels closer to me.
But I was very fascinated. You growing up in West Philadelphia, watching the news with your mother every evening, and you having the sense and understanding that, I'm seeing lots of things in the world that are troubling, but also this is not a full view of the world. And I want to be a part of providing a more expansive view, and where that came from for you.
My mother was very much, how can I say, she had a great imagination, and she was very hopeful, very in believing. She set me up early with the belief that the world is set up to do me more good than harm. And it may not be here where we are, but it's out there. And it's in all those books that I would read. It's in all the books that I read about ancient Egypt and Rome and the world. And she inspired me to go see the world, go out there in the world. There's more than just this. And I think that even with news programs and all, she knew that I was I was an avid reader, and I read about everything. And she wanted me to go to those places. She said, "You can go there someday. You can actually go to those places." And I believed her. So I think that she really believed in, she was very spiritual, but she also helped me believe in myself and believe that I could be a part of the world. I owe so much to my mom and to my stepfather and to my family growing up, because I feel like I was sort of the weird kid in a way. And weird.
What does that mean?
I don't know, because I feel like I didn't do what other kids did. I played with Legos and in the house, and I played the violin and all the stuff that, like, I guess, inner city kids didn't do so much, it seemed at that time. And I was always in the library from the moment school was over, and I was in the library and I was creating there. I was sort of the weird little brother. I wasn't into athletics, and I wasn't into, I don't know. I just didn't really.
And you didn't feel pressure to do it anyway.
No. I was very nurtured. I was nurtured to be soft, to be very honest. They were like, even I'm thinking about my sister right now. She's like, "You're such a weirdo."
That's what she would call you?
You're such a weirdo, but then she would hug me. Or my brother Rick will come in from gymnastics president. He's tough, and he was one of the cool kids. But yet still they loved their sweet, soft little brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, they loved me, and they kissed on me, and they made me feel special. No one ever made me feel that I wasn't the person I was supposed to be.
You play Michael's father, Joe Jackson. And, Joe Jackson is the reason why we have Jackson 5.
Absolutely.
Why we had Michael. He also was a complicated person. He was an abusive father who demanded excellence. And I'm going to play a bit of your performance, and we'll talk about it on the other side. In this scene, Michael is a young man. He has just finished recording Thriller, and this is the album that's going to make him the most famous man in the world. He comes home. He lives with his parents, so he comes home, and he finds his father in his room. And Joe wants Michael to tour with his brothers as the Jackson 5, and it's the last thing that Michael wants to do. Michael talks first.
Why are you here?
Look, can a father visit his son? Biggest selling record of all time. From a poor kid from Gary. Who would have thought? Me? I thought. Come here.
Joseph, I know you want something.
Michael, I'm gonna need you to tour with your brothers. Now, I let you do that album by yourself. I'm gonna need you to do this for me. For your family.
I'm not a child anymore, Joseph. And you're not my manager.
Here we go.
I have to start living my own life. On my own. Just like everyone else.
You ain't like everyone else. So you're trying to tell me you want to be treated like an adult? All right. You want to see what the world is like without a family that protects you. Without a family that understands you. Nobody else will understand you outside this place. Yeah, you'll be with all the money in the world, surrounded by people who say yes to everything. Is that what you want? What kind of sense that make? I'm
I'm going to call Don King and tell him you're doing a tour. I know you don't want to let your family down.
That was my guest today, Colman Domingo as Joe Jackson and Jafar Jackson as Michael Jackson in the movie Michael. Well, Colman, you just mentioned that in order to play Joe, you had to tap into the Joe inside of you. I think that's really interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I'll say the Joe Jackson that would live in me is represented by all the blue-collar men that I know of a certain generation who were raised, pre-civil rights. The men who were like, maybe had a third-grade education, who they believe it was work ethic, working hard, showing up for your family, and making it a family business.
The Great Migration Men.
It's the Great Migration Men, absolutely. Men that I have a soft spot for, that I understand. It's like my stepfather was probably part of that generation. He was a guy who had a 7th grade education, and he sanded hardwood floors. He had a craft. And he was very tough. When he met my mom, when I tell you he sort of came in, my mom had 3 children, and he became my stepfather. And he had very rigorous rules, which was about education, doing your homework, being a man of your word, chores. He was tough. When he came home, you better make sure the house was clean. You had to make sure your chores were done. And he would come in exhausted from work, sometimes sit at the table. He'd get the first piece of chicken at the table. And we'd talk when he wanted to, or he would go straight back to his bedroom, and my mother would serve him there because he was exhausted. And it was my mother's job to give us the nurturing and the comfort and the, care for school and sweetness. But my stepfather was tough. And I think that I understood that kind of man. I'm like, okay, now let me get into the head space of that man who's got to support, the Jackson family, 9 children, wife. He's got to support a lot of people. He's got to make sure that he's working at a steel mill. His sons have talent. And his sons also asked him to help them. They're like, they're starting a group. Everybody's starting groups. He said, well, you want to be the best. I'm a work with you. I'm a work you. And he saw talent in his kids, and he worked them because he knew that work would get them some success. And so he pushed them. And I think he's part of the generation of people who are like, I want my kids to do better than me. I don't want this for you. That scene that you played is one of my favorite scenes, actually, because it starts to go into a lot of the things that, I have to look through the lens of Joe Jackson. I had to look at the lens of being a father and a parent. I couldn't let the court of public opinion, what people said about him, be the truth.
And how did you do that? Because I just want to say something. Yeah. I mean, you're an actor, but you're also just a person who was born and raised in the United States. Yeah. And the place that the Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson plays in our imagination looms so large. I mean, you're coming into it with the preconceived notions.
But the first thing you do with anyone, you take the person and you look at the character of the person. And I looked at interviews. I even had this interesting interview. I wouldn't say wonderful, interesting interview when Joe was asked about being harsh to his children, especially to Michael. And he sit there with a smile. He said, well, yeah, Michael said, I whooped him. Yeah, he admitted, I whooped him. He said, but I whooped him all the way to the bank. So in his mind, he's the hero.
In 2024, you played Divine G in the film Sing Sing, for which you were nominated for an Academy Award. And it is about a group of men incarcerated at Sing Sing prison who put together a play, and it's based on a real program there called Rehabilitation Through the Arts. And your character, Divine G, he's serving time for a crime he did not commit. And your company, Edith Productions, which is named after your mother, helped finance and produce this film. What was it that made you say, I've got to go all in? I've got to put my whole self in it, my money, my time.
Everything.
And act in it.
I got this really incredible opportunity from Greg Quidar and Clint Bentley, the director and producer of Sing Sing. They were putting together something that really, there was no script. And it was just an old article they had about this program. And I thought, they sent me that, and they said, we've been trying to make a film about this program in some way, but not about the program, but it should just be about people. And then the idea of inviting former incarcerated men to be a part of it who went through this program called Rehabilitation Through the Arts.
Yep.
This incredible program that started in Sing Sing, where you have theater professionals. They come in and they teach the incarcerated men theater games
Yep.
and put on plays. And they found that doing that, and it was all, organized by the inmates, they find by doing that, it helped these guys get more in touch with their feelings, exhibit a bit more empathy. It became a tool to help them in process while they were on the inside. And the recidivism rate was less than 6%
Of those who had gone
of
through
those
the
who had
program.
gone through the program, which I thought was extraordinary. So based on all of that, I thought, I would love to be a part of this.
Divine G, your character, who's a real person, in running this theater program, it's his entire world. It has been the thing that has redeemed him during his time in prison. And I actually want to play a scene where he's at his clemency hearing. And he has been practicing and working towards sitting down and telling these folks that are going to decide his fate all about this program, what it has done for him, what it has done for other men. And one of the commissioners isn't buying it. She wants to know whether she's watching someone put on a performance. Let's listen.
You've been involved in numerous programs. It's too long a list for me to go through, but I do have a question about the theater program. You've been involved in that many years, have you not?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I am a founding member of this program. It's something I'm very proud of.
And what part do you play in this program? Actor, director?
Well, we all do a few things. I'm on what is called the steering committee. We make a lot of decisions for how it operates, and from time to time I do act, like we all do, and it's been a program that was established to help the population with management skills, and it's turned into something a bit more, wonderful, because it helps people get more in touch with their feelings and able to process and actually move through and truly get some rehabilitation.
So are you acting at all during this interview?
Absolutely not. I truly hope that you can understand that I've been very sincere. I know how meaningful this is. I would never, actually that's not the intention of acting. Acting is just to, process.
I read about the program. It's a good program.
That is my guest, Colman Domingo, as Divine G in the film Sing Sing. And Colman, it's a heartbreaking scene, but what's brilliant about it is I think we can all hear, I love hearing it in audio form, we can hear in your performance the change and the shift when you realize you're in front of somebody who doesn't believe you as you are talking.
Yeah, that's played by the clemency officer is played by the great Sharon Washington.
Thank you, yes.
Who is one of my dearest friends. And so I was able to populate the film with just a couple actors who are actually professional actors who can help anchor these moments. And my best friend Sean San Jose played Mike in it. And so when this scene comes up, I thought we need that voice of someone who is the system. And in particular, I think it was written as sort of a white male before. And I brought the idea of Greg Quidar up. I'm like, I think it should be a black woman. Because no one knows that a black woman, when she's in a position of authority in that way, she's got to be more system than the system, because there are more eyes on her. So she almost had to be a bit more removed and be the system. And I thought that's also a complicated story. That's a story within a story of the demands put on black women. But I digress. So I thought that helps complicate the proceedings in a way.
One of the things also about that performance that came up for me is like, oh, okay, it's you in front of, you're having to display yourself in the same way. It's not the same thing, but similar to the audition process where you have to stand up before people and they have to judge you. And my goodness, early in your career, you did this so much.
All the time.
I think I read here that you were auditioning in your 40s as many as 8 times a week,
Yeah.
still bartending, and you weren't working. And There's one day when you received a phone call where you decided that, like, I'm done.
I was exhausted from the output that I've been putting in for years in this industry. And the gains that I've had, many, many gains. By the time I went to the West End in London, I was performing the Scottsboro Boys, and I had an Olivier nomination, and I was doing work that I thought was impactful and important. And then I would go back to New York, and then I would just like be pounding the pavement again, almost like getting roles that I felt like didn't match what I can give. I didn't have a lot of access or real agency. So, and then I had like countless auditions that were sort of meaningless, or I felt like we're just going into the void. No one was seeing my tapes. And I was just really exhausted to the point where I just sort of broke down. I was at the gym, and I'll never forget this. I just like started sobbing after this one other huge no.
You received a phone call, yeah.
Yeah, I received a phone call from my agent about, I was like, this is, everybody needs a yes. And I was like, well, this is my yes. I had like 8 auditions this week. I need a yes. My finances need a yes. My husband needs a yes. My soul needs a yes. And literally she called me up and she just said, everyone loved you. The producers loved you. Directors loved you. It was an audition for Boardwalk Empire.
Boardwalk Empire.
Boardwalk Empire.
Yes.
And it was to play a maitre d' or something, a show host or something at Chalky's Bar, played by Michael K. Williams, but it was his bar. And I thought, well, this has to be the one. I can see myself in this world. This is great.
Yes.
They need a song and dance man.
Yes.
I sang, I danced, I wore the tuxedo in the audition. They all loved me. And then she said, but a researcher raised his hand and said, well, all maitre d's and hosts at the time were light-skinned. And I said, and it wasn't even about the light-skinned part of it. That's not what I was angry about. I literally yelled into the phone. I said, they knew what I looked like before I got there. I feel like everyone's effing with me. Because it felt like it was just on my hamster wheel, and people didn't respect the time or energy that an artist put into something. Why didn't the researcher hold their hand up earlier?
Before you got there.
Before I got there. We could have just stopped all this. So I just thought like, well, this business is going to kill me. It's going to break my heart. And my heart was getting very broken. So I was making steps to leave. And then my angel, one of my best friends, Daniel Breaker, he says, who's an extraordinary actor in his own right. We started in Passing Strange together on Broadway. He said, my manager has been wanting to meet with you for years. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want that anymore. I'm good. He said, just meet with them. I was like, oh, fine. And I went into this meeting, and I was as begrudging as possible. I had my arms folded. I know it. I was not the effervescent me. I was like, this is what I do. This is what I've done. I could do this. I don't know. You tell me. They said, oh, we'd love to work with you. I said, well, okay, well, how about this? Why don't we give it 6 months and we'll see where we go. Within 6 months, I booked Fear the Walking Dead and another series. And then I chose Fear the Walking Dead, and that show gave me a new footing in my career. I had a steady job on television. It gave me some more financial stability. It gave me a character that I was pouring myself into. I became a director on that show and a producer on that show. And I had more footing, and I had more, I had that yes to keep going.
Well, you're definitely in your harvest stage right now, and you're so busy. You have so many projects, and you have so many projects ahead. Do you feel like you're in a rush to get as much done as possible? Do you think about it in those terms? You brought up your age many times during our conversation.
I bring up my age sort of as a lovely marker, because I really love being in my 50s. And something about that, I never knew that would be the case.
That you would love it, because we're told
I love it. Yeah, people are told like, oh, you're getting older or whatever. I'm like, no, I feel like it's so cool and it's so good. So I think that I'm not rushing. The funny thing is, I feel like, listen, I've told people this and they don't believe it. I said, I'm going to do a lot more between now and about, I'm saying to about 61, 62. And then I'm going to live a bit softer in a way, because I feel like I've been building so much. I think that maybe I'm curious about evolving. So I don't feel like that I'm rushing anything. I feel like, if anything, right now I'm taking more time and being really, I'm being very conscious about time with people. Sometimes I have to rethink, because I will say yes first. And then I'll have to reset and say, do I really want to do that?
And that's what you can do when you're in your 50s.
When you're 50s, you're like, I can do that because I'm fine with myself. And I'm not responsible about the way a person feels about it either. Someone told me that, which is very cool. Yeah. But she was 60 and she told me this. She said she was taking me around this plantation actually in Georgia, and we were talking about life. And she says, how old are you? I said, I'm 50, whatever it was. And she said, you're in your storytelling season. I said, oh, yeah? She said, yeah, when you turn about 60, like me, you move into your truth-telling season. I said, what's that? She says, well, if you don't want to do something, you just say no. I said, just no? She said, not. You don't have a qualifier? No, but? She says, no, because it's not my responsibility about the way I make another person feel. If I say it with love, but I'm honoring myself with love and grace, I say no. And that's it. So I think I decided to move into that chapter a little earlier. So
right. It's now the new 60 is the new 54.
It's the new 50 and 54, and to be in the truth-telling season.
Well, Colman Domingo, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome, Tonya. This has really been wonderful. Thank you.